Can we check and see how many people are on the line, or still waiting for Chris?
Beverly, this is Greg. I can
Yeah,
read them
Greg.
to you.
Oh,
Craig is here, David is here, Debbie is here, Gail, Greg McBride, Jamie.
Hold on, Greg. Hold on, Craig, Jamie, Deb, and this is
Gail.
Greg. Gail.
Kurt,
Anyone?
Matt Lynn, and Millie is there. So I think it's everyone.
Okay, I don't know what happened with Chris, but we'll see. I'm not sure. Let's give him another minute or so, and then we can get started. Thank you, Greg.
Chris's screen is up, so I think,
He's working on it.
yeah.
Okay, I don't know whether or not this has to do with the recording, though. That's what I'm trying to ensure that we're taping. Subcommittee, so we don't need a quorum. We just need to get going. But I just want to hear from him that we're recording. Two more minutes. It'll be 12:10. I'll start. One minute. Okay. So this morning, this afternoon, we're going to take a look at section 2.0. I thought, excuse me.
Can you hear me now?
Yeah, we can hear you,
thank
Chris.
goodness.
I'm so sorry, Chris.
We are all set.
Okay.
Let me just pull up
Okay.
stuff so you guys can start. I'm so sorry. I was just in a Teams
Not
meeting.
at all.
Everything was working, and I switched, and my sound went off. I couldn't get my thing up. Oh, it was just awful. So
Yeah,
let's do-
I had that trouble last week, and it's always frustrating. It's always frustrating. So we're talking about the regulations, Chris. We're talking about specifically the regulatory impact assessment.
Okay, regulatory impact. Yes, right here. There we go.
Yep. And so, board members and others, I just want to have you, because we're beginning with 309 BMR 2.0. You should have received the final draft and, pardon me, the proposed draft, but we need to, before we get to the specific language and those tweaks to the regulation itself, I wanted to go through the impact statement, which we have to submit and these were prepared a while ago. And so I wanted to know if you had formulated any comments about the impact statement.
Well, it looks like we haven't filled out the check boxes at the, right?
Mm-hmm.
So we have to fill those out. That's part of what we have to do. But this is stuff that you prepared way back millennia ago when we first did this?
Yes, I did this.
Okay.
Gail, you say
And
we
so-
don't have check boxes? The check boxes all say
There's
no.
check boxes at the end that I saw that didn't look checked off, at least in the version I had. It could have been just some glitch.
Yeah,
They all
well,
say
they were.
no.
Yeah, they were completely. The forms were completely filled out. Otherwise, I'm sure the governor would have been all over me by now. But
Yeah, it must have been
it,
something with what I had. If you get to the end,
okay.
the
Yep.
so they may
I'm
be filled out
scrolling
and I
down.
just don't know what they are.
No, mine are filled out. They have an X through them, and they're all no.
Okay.
Did you scroll
So
down, Gail, to the?
yeah, just to see, Chris, if the one that you pulled up is the same as the one I had, because I feel like maybe my form just didn't show it or something. I didn't
Are you,
see X's.
are you seeing the one I pulled up now?
Yes, but
Okay.
there's check boxes somewhere in the one
Down
I
at the
had.
bottom, you scroll all the way down, and as Greg said, all of my boxes are checked no.
Oh, here it
Yeah,
is. Here it's
mine
on the
didn't have
second
that.
page.
It's fine. Mine did not have that. So the check boxes were not checked. So I don't know why. It's just my computer or something.
Very strange. Okay. Is there anything on the small business impact statement that you think should be changed, board members?
Well, I had a question about it.
Sure.
Just because small businesses include LSPs who are sole practitioners, right?
Mm-hmm.
And I was just thinking, is there anything that impacts them? It was one of those things. I just wanted to make sure that was considered when we checked them off, because obviously I don't remember checking anything off.
Okay. Well, that's a good talking point. So, what do others think about specifically these last check boxes? And we can just substitute LSP for small business. So, based on the changes in the regulation, would LSPs have to create, file, or issue additional reports? I don't think so.
No, I don't think anything we did became more onerous. If anything, I think some of the regulations we're proposing make it less onerous on the LSP small business person.
Do these yes or no questions only pertain to changes in the regulations or the overall body of regulations?
It impact it. What they're asking is anything that you're amending or propounding new, as in new, going to have an impact in these areas? Additional reports, additional record keeping, additional administrative oversight, and so forth. Did that answer your question, Jamie?
Yeah, I think so.
Okay. All right. So I'm going to run down the line, and using Gail's analogy, we'll substitute LSP for small business. Number one, will an LSP have to create, file, or issue additional reports? I think that's still no.
Yep.
Will an LSP have to implement additional record keeping procedures? I think, as Gail said, it's less onerous. So I think the answer remains no. Will small businesses have to provide additional will an LSP, I'm sorry, have to provide additional administrative oversight? Discussion, I think the answer is still no. Will an LSP have to hire additional employees in order to comply with the proposed regulation? No.
Nope.
In fact, when we go online, they'll be able to free up their administrative assistants so I don't get so many calls about it. I think it's going to be, as Gail said, a much better system. Does compliance with the regulation require LSPs to hire other professionals, lawyers, accountants, engineers?
And this is where I think the question that Jamie had is relevant. Does it mean the regulations in general or any of the new provisions? And it's only the new provisions, right?
Well, we're going
Clearly, the
section by
regulation
section.
compliance with the regulations could require, or not require, but be valuable. But I thought it was just the new provisions when I looked at it.
Mm-hmm. Well, we're going section by section, so each section has to have its own statement of impact. I don't know if that quite answers the question.
No. I just meant if it's only, my feeling was that there may be things in the regulations as a body that require or strongly recommend that somebody have a lawyer, but that isn't what this is about. This is about any changes we make to the regulations, and none of the changes we make would require that.
And it's very narrowly focused on 2.0, Gail.
Oh, this is
It's
just,
not,
we do one of these for each section?
you have to do one for each section.
Oh, then no, that's easy.
Okay, you got it now? Okay.
Yeah,
All
I
right.
didn't realize it was
Very
each section. I thought it was the overall body of stuff.
No, because if you look, I'm sending, I think the simplest way to attack this is to go section by section. And we agreed last month we were going to start with 2.0. So all of this email only pertains to 2.0. All right, so does the regulation require LSPs to purchase a product or make other capital investments in order to comply with the regulation? 2.0, it says, I'm pretty sure it's no. And that brings us to performance standards. I don't think that applies.
No.
Do other regulations duplicate or conflict with the proposed regulation?
Mm-mm.
No. Does the regulation require LSPs to cooperate with audits, inspections, or other enforcement activities?
Anything at 2.0, I don't, now I have to go back and look at the other parts, but I don't think this one does, right? This part?
No, 2.0
It's just definitions.
Yep,
Well, no, there's a little bit
all,
at the end that wasn't.
well, I'll just give it to you. 2.0, there's the preamble, there's the definitions. Whoever made that statement, I think Kurt, sorry if I'm wrong, at 2.02, there's the scheduling of meetings, public records, computation of time, application fee, annual fee, issuance of notices, receipt of notices, and 2.12 petitions for waiver. So I don't think
Hey,
I
Beverly,
don't
maybe we
think.
can ask everybody to turn off their microphones.
Thank you, Greg. So I don't think that anything in any of the changes require LSPs to cooperate with audits, inspections, or other regulatory enforcement activities. Any further discussion on that? All right. So we can tick that box that the impact statement stays the same. I'm always open to comments. If you feel like after the meeting something has jogged your memory and you want to change something or request further discussion, just let me know. Okay. In the proposed reg amendments, and Chris, if you can just throw that up on the screen, that's 309 proposed regs, pardon me, at 2.0. So we are reviewing now for language. And if you recall, we looked specifically at
Actually, Beverly, can I ask you a quick question? The two things that I opened were both identical. There was no red line strikeout or the original regs in it. Did you mean
okay.
to? I mean, so I had to open the original regs from online to compare to see what kinds of changes, and I didn't get all the way through it. Do you
I'll have
have the
to
red
check
line
and
one?
see. Yeah, I'll have to check and see that. I thought I sent that 2.0 red line strikeout. Right. You definitely need to know where you've been to see where you're coming. Okay, so let me just check one other thing, Gail, here. No, that definitely should have been a red line strikeout.
Okay, it wasn't me. I thought maybe it's like
If we made any changes.
well, we did.
If
I checked. I checked with the original. We made lots of changes actually in terms of getting rid of changing it to just LSP instead of licensed site professional. There's one thing I know we have to fix, which is where it says site cleanup activities instead of waste site cleanup activities. So there's a couple of things we definitely have to go through to confirm.
All right, let me, I apologize. I'll find the red line strikeout for 2.0, and apparently I thought I had attached it because I attached the same thing twice. Okay, so.
No, actually they have different names, Beverly. That's the problem. You have one that says the straight reg and one that says proposed regs,
Yeah.
but they're both the same cleaned up version
Right,
without
I see that. Yep, I see that. I see that. All right, so I will fix that. In the interim, we have a few minutes left, and so let's open up 309 proposed reg amendments at 2.0. Chris, if you can throw that up. I wanted to talk about the question you posed, Gail. And you indicated it was site cleanup, and where was that?
Yes, I believe it's go to the definitions if you could.
Yes, I'm there. Yep.
And I think it says, check whether it's under nope, keep going. I think it was someplace that I saw it. And I knew it was supposed to be wayside, and I remember us discussing that at the time we changed them.
It's under site cleanup decision making.
Yeah, and it's supposed to be waste site cleanup decision making. That's it. There it is. Thank you. Got it.
All right. Where is it?
It's right there, and
Yeah.
it needs to be waste site cleanup decision making, so it moves from an S to a W.
Okay, so where are you? Because I don't have my screen on. I'm
Chris has it up. He has it highlighted, and it's in the regs under site. What was the, sorry, it disappeared again. Oh.
It's under 2.02 definitions. It's the last one, right before 2.03 severability.
Right. So then it won't change the order because of TUVW. So it'll just
Okay,
it should
so
just site cleanup decision making.
okay, so it should read waste site cleanup decision making.
The section you'll have to change it, Beverly. There's site cleanup decision making is all through that. So every place it says that, it has to be waste site cleanup.
waste site cleanup decision making. I see
Yes,
it.
that's the
Yep.
term. And so
Yep.
everywhere it appears in that definition, it has to be changed.
Okay.
Yeah, so in professional services and RPE.
Okay. Hold on, Deb. Let me get with you here. You're under RPE.
Right, so there's a couple,
Okay.
the third line, applicant's site should be applicant's waste site cleanup.
Yeah, I
Okay.
think you might need to do a check through the whole thing, because this was an issue that I remember came up when we were first, I can't believe I can remember it. It was a discussion we had at the time we were revising the regs, and I thought I thought it got changed because it got changed some places and not. In other words, it's normal the way it should be some places, and then other places it got changed. So I think you'll have to do a search and replace to make sure
Okay.
it's. But it
All
doesn't,
right.
but you got to make sure it's actually for that term, waste site cleanup. Whenever it's waste site
Decision.
cleanup, no, it doesn't have to
Wherever
be
it's
decision
where.
making. Waste site cleanup.
Okay, but not decision making.
No. I mean, it's whenever it's waste site cleanup decision making, yes, but it's also waste site cleanup. It probably applies also without the decision
Okay.
making.
Okay. Got it. All right. All right. I've got it. And my homework is the red line strikeout, so we can determine where we've been. All right. This is good.
I did have one other comment.
Oh yes, Jamie. Go ahead.
Under the application fee and annual fee, should we not consider including some language about the new online portal system? Because it just says check or money order to the Commonwealth still.
Oh,
Yeah,
that can
that
be changed.
that has to. I'm working with IT, so I've got to get that settled first, Jamie. But duly noted. Online, we're working, and I'll explain a little more of this when I give the report on online fee payments, et cetera, about how that's going to work, and how we're going to work with individual departments, revenue, IT, Michael Orcutt, Chris Borges, and others to make changes throughout the website. So the regulations, yes. Those changes will have to be entered. I've noted that. All right. We are at 12:29. At the next meeting, I'll clean up, waste site cleanup, and forward the red line strikeout. And I also am going to do a final run through for the small business impact statement that has to be filed with the Secretary of State. Because I drafted it so long ago, I want to make sure that the 5 enumerated points in General Laws Chapter 30A Section 2 are there. All right.
Beverly, I think you did this when Deval Patrick was the governor, so that goes back a while.
Yeah, but some things don't change. So, yeah, I think it might have been, yes, you're right. I think it might have been Patrick. So, but we're going to adhere to the statute, Gail, and the Section 2 that I disseminated at the April meeting, and the regulations manual from May 6, 2016, which is the latest copy,
Okay.
the latest iteration of that. So we're going to follow that. So I will make sure that whatever we did under Governor Patrick is still current under Governor Healy, because I didn't see any changes. But this is also a matter for the Secretary of State. So I'm all set. We can adjourn at 12/31. Thank you.
You ready to move on?
We are, if you are. All set.
I'm calling the continuing ed meeting to order at 12:32. So for the roll call, I have Greg, Jamie, Kirk, Millie, Patrick, Paul, Craig, Deb, and Gail. Anyone else?
Hey, Dave,
Chris,
it's
who's-
Millie. Good afternoon. Would you mind just repeating the roster so
Sure.
I get it just like you have it?
Greg,
Mm-hmm,
Jamie,
mm-hmm,
Kirk,
Yep.
Millie,
mm-hmm,
Patrick,
mm-hmm.
Paul, Craig, Deb, David, and Gail.
Thank you.
And Chris, who do we have on in the meeting from the public?
We have 5 people on right now. Glenn Ayers, Christy Lefebvre, Michelle Paul, Rebecca Buswell, and Wendy Rundle.
Okay, thank you. So there's course approval, there's no old business, so it's just a new business, and it's 3 requests for course approvals. The first one is from the LSPA, 1 technical credit for their membership meeting this month, live webinar, and then on demand. It was originally, I think, done in 2012, so this is clearly new and 13 years later. I make a motion to approve.
Second,
Any discussion from the board or the public? A yes is approving. Greg,
Yes.
Jamie,
Yes.
Kirk,
Yes.
Millie,
Yes.
Patrick,
Yes.
Paul,
I'm a yes.
Craig, Deb,
Yes.
David's a yes, and Gail.
yes.
The next approval request is the Patel Conference. The way we've always approved conferences, and then 1-for-1 technical credits for the 3 short courses. I make a motion to approve.
Second,
Any discussion from the board or the public? Yes is approving. Greg,
Yes.
Jamie,
Yes.
Kirk,
Yes.
Millie,
Yes.
Patrick,
Yes.
Paul,
Yes.
Craig, Deb,
Yes.
David's a yes, and Gail.
yes.
And then the last request for approval is from Numoa, conducting phase 1 and phase 2 site investigations using conceptual site model, 4 different offerings. I didn't add up the credits. Is it 4.75?
Hi, David. Yeah, Matt here. That's what I counted up in the backup was 4.75. That's what they'd indicated.
I make a motion to approve.
Second,
Any discussion from the public or board?
Hi, David. Just the name of the course. It's a little bit different than what's on the agenda and what you mentioned verbally. A new name for the course came around the other day. So I just want to make that clear.
I sent that out, Matt, yesterday.
I did see that, and it didn't change the substance of the course, though.
It did not.
Correct.
Just the name that you mentioned is a little bit different. Yep.
And also, isn't
Okay.
there a 4th location? One in Connecticut? A 4th location?
Yep, that was added.
that was canceled.
It was canceled?
My understanding is that was canceled. Yeah.
It's
Oh,
in the email. It's in the email,
I know
Deb, that it
somebody,
was
I
canceled.
just know somebody that was taking it and said it was canceled, and so she had to go to Lowell.
Yeah, but it's in the email because Namoa also sent a cover email.
Okay, well, thanks for those clarifications. Any other comments? Yes is approving. Greg,
Yes,
Jamie,
Yes.
Kirk,
Yes.
Millie,
Yes.
Patrick,
Yes.
Paul,
Yes.
Greg,
Yes.
Deb,
yes.
David's a yes, and Gail.
Yep. Yes, sorry. So, yes.
That's it for new approval requests, and our next meeting will be on June 13th. I'm bringing this meeting to an end at 12:37.
All right, Jamie or Kurt, I don't know.
Kurt, you want to do the honors?
Sure. Special conduct, 12:40. Call to order. Old business? None. Status of the CRTs.
Okay, so board members and others, I made a stab at, and I'm sorry for its delay. I made a stab at returning to our active cases table. There will be a more fulsome table for the June 13th meeting, but I thought we would make a stab at updating the cases in a more formal way. So 05C07, and it's not perfect. I do know that things are spelled right, but there's little punctuation issues. But I just wanted to make sure that you had something before you because I had promised that you would. So 05C, we have the recommended final decision. I'm sorry, the Superior Court decision that issued on, that should be April 25th, 2023, not January 25th, 23. I'll make that correction. I apologize. So the decision just came down, and already Mr. DeCoulis has filed a notice of appeal with the Massachusetts Appeals Court, and a motion to stay was filed on May 2nd, 2023. Board members should have received notice of that. That case will be discussed further in executive session. 08C03, it is my intention to have the final order before the board for review at the August 8th meeting. 12C01 will be discussed in executive session. The same LSP is involved in 12C01 as in 05C. So the board needs to make a decision, board members need to make a decision about further prosecuting that case. 18C01, I'm asking everyone to focus on the next steps. We need to finalize the LSP interview questions schedule a conference, CRT conference in August 2023, and then interview the LSP by September 2023. Now,
Beverly, we've interviewed this LSP. I'm pretty sure we've interviewed this LSP.
we'll have to talk
I
about
remember
that.
sitting there with him. I remember sitting there with him.
Okay, we'll have to talk about that.
Yep. I'm positive we did. I mean, because I remember Kathy was there.
Yeah. Well, we'll make that correction. Gail, we'll talk about it in an executive session.
Yeah. We can't
Because
well, you cannot. We can't even talk about it then, Beverly, without saying the name of the person. So it's best we
right.
talk
Well,
separately.
I'm not going to say the name. I have a workaround. So I can clarify that in that meeting in executive session. I'll clarify it because we did have a meeting with the LSP, but it was for a different purpose.
No, we didn't. We had interview questions and everything. We had the meeting with them, the interview.
Okay. All right. We'll clarify it.
Okay.
Thank you. No, thank you. So the next case, 18C02, I know that we interviewed this LSP, and we need to finalize the CRT report. I'm looking to do that to present the CRT to the board at the September 2023 meeting. I already have a draft of the report. It just has to be reviewed by the other CRT members for completeness and just their comments. I'm scrolling down and I'm making sure that we talk about cases where we do not have board members assigned. If you'll recall,
Beverly, I'm on one of those. You have assigned one of them because I'm on one.
Right.
I just don't know which one. I'm now to see if I have the information on which one it is, and I can talk to you about that and tell you which one it is separately without people listening.
Yep, we can do that. And like I said, I will have a much fuller and more complete cases table for the June 13th meeting, but I did want to get this initial one out. I have also been in touch with some of the complainants. So same report for 21C01 and 22C01. Matt Lyon is the investigator assigned to those cases, and he is currently redacting them. I do not have not been able to get the software that he needs, so the redaction is being done by hand.
Okay, and Beverly, sorry, I thought you were done. Go ahead, finish, and I'll tell you what.
Go ahead.
No, I just want to tell you, I'm on 21C01.
Great. I will add your name. Okay. So we've got the materials were forwarded to the CRT, but they have to be redacted. And I know that there are, both of these cases are very large files, but I'm hoping that either we'll get the software or I'm going to have to get busy with a Sharpie and get it done for the June meeting. So as I said, Matt is currently working on preliminary redactions for both of those cases. and we'll see how far we get, because it is my hope that we can present the redacted 2 cases no later than the September board meeting. So that would mean for 21C and 22C, the redactions would be completed, and those cases would be discussed at the board meeting. The only problem with at the September board meeting, the only problem with that is that both cases are pretty large. I don't know that we will get through both of them at one board meeting in one sitting, but we'll start with 21C01 for September in terms of redaction and presentation to the board in a public session. Any other corrections? I do need volunteers to sit on these cases. Gail was assigned to, as she indicated, to 21C01. I believe, excuse me, the other board member may or may not have been Farouk Siddiq.
Yeah, I think.
So, yeah, and so, of course, as you notice, I've changed the columns to reflect all of, and added all of the new board members. I'm sorry, the most recently sworn in board members. So
Beverly,
please think about, yes.
so just a question. So was 21C01, was that a screening team, Gail and Farouk, or because we haven't actually formally accepted that
That's right.
complaint,
I
right?
believe it is a screening team, Jamie.
Okay,
Right.
thank you.
Just because of that, the fact that you don't have it says it had to have been a screening team.
Right.
I don't think that's correct. I think, Gail, you're talking about 12C01.
No, 21C01. I just checked. I have the
No,
document.
Gail, no, Gail is right, Deb. She did volunteer because we talked about this when Farouk left the board.
Okay.
So Gail is right. She has the materials to prove it. Okay, so I'm looking for volunteers, board members for 21C. I need 1 board member.
For a
I'll do it.
screening team. For the screening
For
team.
the screening team. For the screening team, I need 2 volunteers for the 22C screening team.
You put me down, Kirk.
Beverly,
Thank you.
don't we look at the redacted complaint and response and decide if we need a screening team? We haven't
Yes.
gotten that yet.
Yes, that's correct. Yes, we do. We
So-
look at stuff. So I don't know how
Okay,
we got the
so-
screening team set up for the other one, but all I know is I have the materials. I know who it is, so I kind of have to be on the screening team.
For some reason, Deb, I don't recall why. I'll dig it up in my notes, but for some reason, Farouk and Gail were part of this. We agreed to form a screening team for 21C01.
And
So
you have to go back to the minutes to find out why. I don't remember either, but I do know that I do know specifically that I have the materials. So the screening team had to have been
Right.
formed.
Yep, the screening team was formed.
And this,
Now, with 22C, we don't have a screening team. And somebody was about to say something. Was that you, Patrick?
that was me. I was just going to offer myself up if a non-LSP board member is eligible as a either a screener or participant. Either of these.
I don't believe that's the correct procedure.
It isn't. Deb is right. It is not the correct procedure. But there might have been a reason for 21C01. I don't remember what it was.
Right.
But the correct procedure is that we look at the redacted complaint and the board decides
Right.
if it rises to the level of board action. And if it's undecided whether it rises to the level of board action, we form a screening team to help sort it out.
Okay. Well, then we're dependent on the redactions, and you'll have those by June. Both cases will be redacted by June. 21C01 and 22C01 will be redacted and presented at the June meeting, so we can make a decision about screening teams. But in the meantime,
I thought you were saying.
I'm sorry.
September. You were saying September. You just before it was saying September.
Not for the redactions.
Okay.
I'd like to have the redactions done, and then the presentations at the September 2023 meeting. Is that what you meant, Deb?
I'm not sure. I'm asking. That's what I'm asking. What you meant, because you were saying September, but now I understand what you're saying.
Yep. We have to have the redactions done before then. So the presentation to the board for a decision on screening team for 22C01 will be at the September board meeting. And I'll update the chart and make all these corrections.
No, we have we have a screening team for whatever reason for 21C01. It's the 22C.
Yes, that we need a screening team.
Yeah. Oh, no, we may not need a screening team. We may decide just to go straight to a CRT. We don't always have to have the screening team.
That's true. We can skip that
Or
step.
we can dismiss it because it doesn't, when we see the redacted version, we'll make the decision as to which of the three choices is most appropriate.
Yep, dismissal, screening team, or accept or form a CRT.
Yes. And
those are the three.
Yeah, go ahead. Sorry.
Yes. Nope,
No,
go
keep
ahead.
going. No, keep going. It was a different question.
Okay. All right. Patrick volunteered. Are there any other LSP board members who think they would like to get the wonderful experience of being on a CRT?
What are they volunteering for? We don't have a. What complaint are they going to be a CRT for?
Well, they can join the screening team, Deb.
No, that we don't have a screening team.
We don't have a screening team. We don't even know if we're accepting the complaint.
No, I'm talking about 21C. Gail is
21C is an LSP. We have to have an LSP for the rest of to complete that screening team.
That's all I'm saying.
Greg will be happy to help on that one.
Greg, you're on the other one.
I thought you were already on. Greg, weren't you already on this one? Now that I think about it.
I don't know. I'm a little fuzzy on all of these at this point.
Okay.
I actually think you might have taken over. I'm not positive, but it seems like you might have.
Okay. Well, I guess we can check the notes and
the record
and decide. But if I'm needed, I'll do it.
But in any case, you'll do it so we could start. What I'm saying is we could start the screening process if we have the LSP member. And Greg just volunteered, so we can start that process.
Okay.
Is my thought.
All right.
And you got Paul McKinley here. If you need another one, if Greg's already on another one, I'm certainly happy to step up too. So.
Oh, it's LSP. Yep, because we have to have three different. We've got to have an LSP. Okay, I've got it.
And Beverly, my question had been, and I'm sorry I missed this, but is one of the 20s? Is that one of the ones that you were handling?
Both of the 20s, 2021 and 2022 are both my cases in the sense that I have to write a recommendation. I've interviewed all the recipient witnesses and received a response. And I'm talking about 20C01 and 20C02. I've interviewed witnesses and I've interviewed the LSPs, and both LSPs in those cases have submitted comments. So this is just very informal, me looking into it, but I do need to produce memos to the board about my
Okay.
findings.
All right. And I'm sorry I missed it. What's 20CO4? We don't have anybody assigned to that either.
Nope. 20CO4, I have to locate the document.
Okay, so we haven't seen that one either because of the redaction issues.
Same thing, yes. And I when I say located, I don't mean located. When we moved, all the disciplinary files were arranged. So I have a spreadsheet. I know which box the files are in, but I haven't pulled it. I need to pull
And
the
that has
files
not
for
appeared before the board, right? That's what that means.
it has not. It has not been redacted. It has not appeared before the board.
Okay, is
I
that,
just
I'm sorry, is that 20C04? The only reason I'm asking is because Wendy was asking if we had gone over that case yet. So I
yes,
just wanted to,
we're
okay,
talking about. Yep, we're talking about number 8, 20C04. And what I said was I need to pull the paperwork on 20C04. When we moved, I have a spreadsheet for each disciplinary matter and which files are in which particular box. But there are 119 of them, so I have to pull the spreadsheet and find it. So for the next meeting, the June meeting, we'll see how far we can get with the redactions on 21C and 22C. Both of those cases are big files. But again, Matt is doing it by hand, and I'm going to have to go and review that. So we're hoping by June 13th. But I do have a more pressing matter that I'll discuss. Any other questions? Any other changes or corrections? All right, let me review what we've done today. We've discussed 05C. It'll be more fully discussed during the executive session. We have taken a look at 08C, and I've committed to issuing the final order for August 2023. 12C01 will be discussed today in executive session. 18C01, I need to check and find out about the interview of the LSP, and that case may be farther along than we thought. I know that 18C02, I need to schedule a CRT conference to review the CRT report, which we will present to the board on September 2020, at the September 2023 meeting. A fuller report on 20C01, 20C02. I am responsible for those investigations. 20C04, I'll have more information on that case at the June meeting. We are looking at finalizing redactions for 21C01. We have both the complaint and the LSP response. We just need to redact the file so it can be presented to the board. 22C01 is the same thing. We have the complaint and the LSP response, both of which need to be redacted and presented to the board. We're going to do our best to have these two cases redacted by the June meeting. I don't know that we'll have enough time to present them, though, to the board. But as long as we get the redactions ready, we know that they'll be on the agenda for August 2023, since we have a administrative month and will not meet in July. Did I miss anything? Is there any other information that the board wants included on this spreadsheet? Okay. A work in progress. I think that's it, Kurt.
Okay, is there any new business?
None.
Being none, we are adjourning at 1:02. Thank you, Beverly.
You're welcome. Pardon me.
Good afternoon, everyone. Are we ready?
Unanimous consent.
Okay, perfect. Thank you. So I'd like to welcome everyone to the LSP board meeting today on 5/9/2023. I'm calling this meeting to order at 1:03 p.m. As it pertains to announcements, do we have any announcements to share? Members from the board or the public? Hearing none, let's move on to adoption of the agenda. Any additions, deletions, or any changes to the draft agenda that Beverly provided us for today's meeting?
I have one correction on the renewal docket. The renewal dockets are mislabeled. They're renewal docket 1 and 2 renewal docket 3s. Pardon me, that's a typo. It should be renewal docket 1, renewal docket 2, and renewal docket 3.
Okay, perfect. And I do have a question as we're talking about materials for today's meeting on renewal docket number 1, where it states have completed requirements for 90-day extension. That we mean to say that LSPs have completed the requirements within the 90 days that were granted. The only reason why I asked that question is because on renewal docket number 3, we have requested a 90-day extension. So I just wanted to distinguish the word for.
Okay. So renewal docket 1, those were January 30th, 2023 renewals, and those folks completed the 90-day extension requirement, and their new renewal date is January 30th, 2023. On renewal docket number 3, the distinction is those 3 folks are April 30th renewals, and so they requested 90 days.
Got it.
Brings them out to July 30th, 2023.
Okay, perfect. Thank you. I appreciate that. Okay, so seeing that we don't have any additional changes besides clarifications, I'd like to adopt this agenda as a final agenda for our meeting today. Virtual meeting minutes, I believe they're available on the web, right, Beverly? If we can confirm that. The June 2020 through April 2023? 2023?
Yes.
Okay, great. So again, as we spoke, we have today in front of us 3 renewal dockets to vote on. We've already discussed docket number 1. It consists of the 7 LSPs. They will have a renewal date of January 30, 2023. And at this time, I would like to move to approve this docket. And do we have a second?
Second.
Okay, any discussions in addition to what was stated prior regarding this docket? And if none, I will move ahead with the voting. So a yes vote means that you're in favor of approving this particular docket. So I'll start with Greg.
Yes.
Jamie.
Yes.
Kirk.
Yes.
Millie is a yes. Patrick.
Yes.
Paul,
Yes.
Craig,
Yes.
Deb,
Yes.
David,
Yes.
and Gail.
Yes.
Okay, motion carries. Docket number 2 is the one that has 7 LSPs. And again, their license has a renewal date of April 30, 2023. And the LSPs have all completed their requirements for renewal. So I'd like to make a motion to approve this docket number 1. And do we have a second?
Hey, Millie, this is Craig.
Yes.
Quick question for you. Jeff Nagel's listed on the next docket as well.
I don't
The different
see,
renewal date.
For the 90-day extension, I see that. Let me
Looks
pull
like
up his paperwork. Thank you, Paul. I'll pull up his paperwork, and you can go ahead, Millie, and hold the vote on
sure.
the remainder. I'll look up his information. Thank you.
Just a
In the
correction for the
meantime,
record.
can somebody
spelling.
just check on the renewal date for that second docket? It says July 30th, 2023.
The second docket, the third docket has July 30. The
No, the
second
second
docket is,
doc. Oh, I'm sorry. I'm sorry. It's docket number 3. Sorry, I'm looking at
yeah,
the page. Not...
docket number 3 is July.
Those
No,
are
that'd be
90 days.
July 30th, 2026, right?
Yeah, it's 3 years thereafter.
No, that's just for the 90-day extension, correct?
It's
Right.
yes, Jamie. Yes, it's just that they.
Oh, I don't think that's a renewal. Does that change the renewal date?
Wait, can we just refer to which docket everyone's talking about so we can all keep track?
3. I'd just like to clarify that I didn't think the renewal date changes just because you get the 90-day extension. I don't know that that's how it's been handled, because it's not a renewal date. You haven't been renewed. I mean, that's not how it works. It's supposed to be.
That's how we have handled it, Gail, always. When
Okay, I don't think always, but I'm just looking at it saying it doesn't make sense, because as soon as they do it in July, they have to renew for another 3 years.
No, the 90-day
Yes.
extension.
The 90-day extension is not a renewal. It's a 90-day extension until July 30th, but their renewal date will then still be April 30th. Either it will be July 30th, 2026, which you can game the system and get more, which is why I don't think it's correct, but it would still stay April 30th, 2026.
No,
get the 90-day extension. The 90-day extension expires, but this is not a renewal on April 30th.
Okay, so the way we process it is that LSPs before April 30th or before the 30th of their expiration date, they apply for a 90-day extension. The new renewal date that you see there is an expiration date. It allows them to continue to file EDEP with EDEP and use their seal and perform any and all hazardous waste cleanup activities until July 30th.
I understand, but I don't think it's called.
Hold on.
Yeah, let her finish, please.
If they complete all the requirements within the 90 days by July 30th, because EDEP needs a new expiration date. You can't just leave the expiration date at April 30th or they're locked out.
Yeah,
So this contrivance of July 30th gives them their 90 days, and then once they've completed all the requirements on or before July 30th, 2023, they get a new expiration date, April 30th, 2026.
Oh, okay. So this is a contrivance for EDEP. That's what I'm saying. This is not like part of our stuff. This is just to make EDEP work right.
Yes, and to allow
Well,
them
no,
to continue.
no, it is for us too, because like Beverly said, their license is active for the next 90 days to get the extra credits they need. And then if they don't get them, then they're expired or lapsed or whatever. So it's not just for I mean, yes, it's for EDEP, but it's gives the dates when their license is active.
Yeah,
And
that
that's
I
and that
understand part. That's okay. I understand how it's handled, but in the past, it wasn't referred to that way.
I
That's
don't
all.
think, I think it has been. I think it always has been.
It always has been.
Yeah, I don't know how this is a deviation from past voting on dockets in the way that it's been explained. So I'm curious. I mean,
It's fun. It's explained to me so that it makes sense. So that on basically on July 30th, when they've completed all their stuff, they will go back to the April 2026 expiration date. That's all.
Yes,
Or
and
if
Yeah,
they
that's
have,
that
or they
and
haven't
that
completed
and
it,
that
if they haven't completed, then it goes to the
action.
expired or lapsed, whatever the appropriate
Right,
action
right.
is.
That's what I
become
understand.
they become lapsed. But what the regulations specify that once the 90-day requirements are completed, the LSP reverts back to his original
Right,
expiration date,
Right.
right.
which would be April 30th.
This
Right,
is
and that
just to
was my
manage.
concern, was that it wouldn't revert back and they'd actually get an extra 3 months, but that's fine. As long as it reverts back to the April 30th, then that's the way it should work. That's all.
That
Yeah.
is the way it works.
yeah. Usually, I'll get a one of the dockets will say, you know, these people had a 90-day extension, and during that 90-day extension to July 30th, 2023, they met all their requirements. So now their new renewal date that goes into EDEP would be April 30th, 2026. That would be actually stated on the new renewal document. After, like, so if these three people that are on docket number 3, if all 3 of them, or if any of them complete their requirements within the 90-day extension, right now they have a July 30th, 2023. Once they complete it, whatever, you know, if they're on the July renewal docket, these 3 people would then, it would say they had a renewal date, a 90-day renewal extension of July 30th, 2023. They've completed what they need. Their new renewal date is April 30th, 2026. And that's what I would put into EDEP. So
Makes sense.
they're not getting an extra 3 months.
If you look at docket number 1, that's exactly what happened for the people in
Yeah.
January that asked for the extension, and now they're reverted back to January 30th, the original date.
Right.
Right.
Exactly.
Docket number 2 is one that doesn't need any kind of extra time because LSPs have completed all the requirements within their 3-year allotment.
Exactly.
So, Verily, I hope that this clarification didn't take you away from resolving Mr. Nagel, whether he's in, in which renewal docket he falls into, whether it's number 2 or number 3. And thank you, Paul, for raising that.
Yep. I'm checking now. Mr. Nagel asked for a 90-day extension. So
Okay.
Mr. Nagel should be stricken from docket number 2,
Yeah.
and the vote is for his name on docket number 3. So
Okay.
on docket so just to be clear, the correction to docket number 2 strikes, thank you, Paul, number 2, Jeffrey Nagel. So there are now 6 LSPs on docket number 2. They are Michelle Paul, James Sullivan, Andrew Donahue, Jonathan Kitchen, Jeffrey Moshholder, and Brian Emery. On
Correct.
docket number 3, it's just the way it's set there. There are 3 names, and that's for Mr. Nagel. So is that clarification? Okay, good.
Yes, thank you so
Sorry
much,
about that.
Beverly, and everybody. That was good dialogue.
Motion.
Okay, so this second docket now consists of 6 LSPs. They have a renewal date of April 30, 2023, and they had a renewal date, and they've completed all the requirements, and now they will have a new renewal date of April 30, 2026. I'd like to move to approve docket number 2. Do I have a second?
Second.
Any additional discussion beyond what we've discussed here this afternoon? And if not, I'll jump into the roster, and a yes vote means that you're in favor of approving this docket. So Greg,
Yes.
Jamie,
Yes.
Kirk,
Yes.
Millie is a yes, Patrick,
Yes.
Paul,
Yes.
Craig,
Yeah.
Deb,
Yes.
David,
Yes.
and Gail.
Yes.
Okay, motion carries. The same goes for renewal docket number 3 is 3 LSPs. They have a renewal date of April 30, 2023. After requesting a 90-day extension for the moment, they will have the July 30, 2023, and we've discussed about how that date will revert back to its typical renewal date. So I'd like to move to go ahead and approve. I need a second.
Second.
And so let's, any discussion beyond what we've talked about? And if not, we'll move forward with calling a vote with a yes, meaning that you're in favor. Greg,
Yes.
Jamie,
Yes.
Kirk,
Yes.
Millie is a yes, Patrick,
Yes.
Paul,
Yes.
Craig,
Yeah.
Deb,
Yes.
David,
Yes.
and Gail.
Yes.
Thank you, motion carries. All right, next, I guess we need volunteers to assemble ARP 331. So Beverly, if you could, please, members, let us know so we can actually move forward with assigning this ARP.
Okay, so I don't know whether or not you want to break this up into 2 groups to give more folks 2 panels rather, to give folks an opportunity to participate in the full spectrum of responsibilities, or you want to leave it with the 2 members.
Okay.
Separate, one each.
Pardon?
1 each. All right.
One
So,
each.
Okay.
1
2
each.
panels.
Yep. So thank you, David. So I'm soliciting members for ARP 331, Joshua Clement.
Yeah, this is Craig. I can help.
Jamie, I'll do it.
Craig and Jamie, thank you for 331. And that would be for Mr. Clement. And for ARP 332.
Wait, don't we need one more?
Yeah, that's why I was unsure, because the agenda only says our ARP number 331. Maybe it's me. But,
No, it's saying that we need a 3rd review panel member.
Yes,
Yeah,
I'll be the
correct.
second I'll be the second LSP on this first ARP that's being assigned.
331, Mr. Clement, David, that's right?
Yes, yes.
Okay, so ARP 331, Craig, Jamie, and David, I'll forward the file. Your application is for Joshua Clement. ARP 332, Mr. William Phelps. Volunteers, please.
Sure. Paul McKinley here. I'll volunteer.
Thank you, Paul.
Yeah, well,
Patrick.
Patrick, Paul, and did I hear you, Deb?
Yes, Deb, thanks.
Thank you. All right, very good. ARP 331, Mr. Clement. The ARP is Craig, Jamie, and David. Thank you very much. ARP 332, pardon me, Mr. Phelps. The volunteers are Paul, McKinley, Patrick, Aaron, and Deb Listernick. I will forward the files. Thank you.
Okay, great. Thank you so much. Item number 6, other licensing related matters, but I see that it would be more efficient to have Beverly just run with agenda items 6 through 12.
Very good. There are 447 LSPs as of May 4th. The item number 7, the January 2023 renewal report. There is still one outstanding LSP. As you recall, I sent, sorry, I'm losing my voice. I sent notices on 323 to and 324 to all LSPs about the lapse of their license. Most of them have cleared all of them up. That was a very large renewal, if you recall. We had 119 folks in that one. There's still one person who's outstanding. I don't know whether or not the person has retired or not, but I will be reaching out to them. With respect to agenda item number 8, because I don't have a program coordinator currently, the Department of Revenue has been compiling the 447 annual fee payments, and so I need to get some help sending out the 209 letters, because as you recall, those letters have to go out certified. So once I find out the exact number from revenue and who they are, I'll get the 209 letters out to them certified. Agenda item number 9, there were approximately 20 LSPs in the renewal report. As you saw, there were 7 of those approximately 20 who have completed all requirements. There are 3 who have asked for 90-day extensions. So now I'm going to have to sort out the lapse letters and issue those to the remaining folks who have not paid. Okay. Agenda item number 10. This, you may recall, was a question about whether or not an LSP can obtain and use credits toward the second renewal period that were earned while he or she had a lapsed license. And I sent that information to you this morning. So the board had, as you will recall, at the April 11th meeting, asked for a timetable and more complete information, and the LSP has provided that. Is there any discussion on the issue of whether or not the LSP can use these additional credits?
I haven't looked at it yet, so unless there's the majority of the board, unless the majority of the board has and wants to make a decision, they can, but I guess it's next month.
Okay. Very good.
But I'm only sorry. One person.
That's right.
It
was only.
Oh, sorry.
Since it was only sent this morning, do you want time to look at it? Because it doesn't impact the LSP right now. And I'd love for you to have a fuller understanding of exactly what happened and when. Can we vote to table this until
Yeah.
the June meeting?
What I'd like to
Yes.
move to table, and I being respectful of the fact that some board members might have been busy this morning and they didn't catch this before 9 o'clock. So
Sure.
could we, do I have a second?
Second.
This is this is Patrick. Could I ask for just a 2-minute brief of what, if somebody understands it enough so that it might help me review the file,
Sure.
if somebody can kind of give me a little brief narrative here, if they understand it pretty well what's happened here, that
Sure.
will put me in a better position. Yeah.
Yep. And
Okay.
as
Sure.
always, after the second, I ask for any discussion. So here we are. Beverly, if you don't mind just moving forward with a synopsis.
Sure. So Patrick, this LSP failed to renew his or her license in a timely fashion, and his or her license therefore lapsed. Specifically, the LSP did not obtain sufficient credits and filed a, during the lapse period, the LSP took over and above the required number of courses. And he or she now wants to apply those courses that were over and above the required 48 to his next renewal period. But there is a regulation that disallows carrying over credits from one period earned during one renewal period into the next renewal period. So this LSP has filed a petition for waiver asking special dispensation to carry over some credits. The caveat here is that his or her license was lapsed during the period that these credits were earned. Is that helpful, Patrick?
Beverly,
Yeah, thank you.
If I could just ask for one additional clarification, because this letter changes my understanding. It says his current expiration date listed by the board is October 30th, 2025. Is that accurate?
Yes.
Okay, so his expiration date actually changed from the original timetable because of his lapse status. I thought it would go back to the same expiration.
Well, in some cases it does, Jamie, but there is a part of the regulation that allows for the change in the expiration date. And I just, this was done by Barbara Weiss. So for some reason or another, during that lapse period, his expiration date changed. But there is a provision in the regulations to change, although it's not normal, to change the expiration date.
Yeah, okay. That changes my thinking in this. Because it's
Jamie,
not, yep.
Yeah, it's Paul here. That we had a robust discussion on this the last time, right? And I think we had clarified that some of these courses were taken within the 3-year renewal period for the next period, but that doesn't appear to be the case. So
yeah, this changes it because his renewal period changed. I thought it was the same renewal period, so it's a different matter now. Yep.
Yeah, the timeline is very helpful in clarifying some of the questions.
Right. I think that LSP, whether or not the board votes to approve or deny his or her petition, I think he or she did a good job of setting out. I was very clear about what you wanted, and I think he or she did a good job of setting out exactly what you need to make a decision. So we're going to table this. I think that's a good idea.
So I think we were.
Yep.
Were we about to take a vote here? Because unless we just unanimously say table it.
As Beverly says, this doesn't impact the LSP immediately, so I think it's okay to table this to give everybody a chance to review.
Absent of a vote, so we're just going to move forward with tabling. Thank you.
And
Okay,
I'll make sure that the item is on the June meeting agenda. Okay. Continuing on with the board meeting agenda, the examination report. I'm sorry, number 11, the exam committee report. Unfortunately, I'm going to have to push the date back for the exam committee meeting to July and check with people's schedules. That is our programming month, and I would like to get it done. Then I also have jury duty, and I'm respectful of the fact that July is a vacation month for a lot of people. So I'll explain why I've had to push it back to July. But I'm looking now at a July 2023 date for the next exam committee meeting. The item number 12, the 2023 LSP examination, I was finally able to get a payment made that was due yesterday. Pardon me. So Chris, you have all the tools you need. You can update the exam software. The license was extended. For a minute, I thought that I was going to have to pay the $2,200 service fee out of my own pocket, but I've managed to get that handled. The next step is to secure a location and make sure that the dates that we've selected work for the IT team. The last exam was offered November 14th. So obviously the next exam must be offered sometime before that date. There are currently 6 LSPs eligible to take the exam. One LSP has applied for, one of the 6 has applied for a waiver, which the board granted. And the second LSP his eligibility will expire July 21st. I'm sorry, July 20th, he was approved July 2021. So his eligibility will expire on July 2023. I've explained to the LSP, the applicant rather, that he or she needs to apply for an extension before that time. The LSP obviously didn't pass the exam, so when he or she came in for the exam review, I made clear that they needed to file a petition. I haven't heard anything. So there are currently 6 eligible applicants to sit for the exam, not counting the 2 new applications that were assigned for review today. And if they are approved, there would be a total of 8 potential folks sitting for the 2023 exam. Any questions about that?
no, that's helpful. Okay,
Okay, that's it for me, Millie, until item 15.
thank you. So David, if you don't mind providing the board with a report back from today's committee meeting, this is for the continuing education.
Yeah, the continuing ed committee met today and we approved 2 courses and 1 conference. And we're meeting again in June.
Perfect. So seeing that that's a recommendation for board action, I'd like to move to adopt this recommendation again as it pertains to course approval requests and the conference.
Second.
Thank you. So a yes is in favor of adopting the recommendation. Greg,
Yes.
Jamie,
Yes.
Kirk,
yes,
Millie is a yes. Patrick,
Yes?
Paul,
Yes.
Craig,
yes,
Deb,
Yes,
David,
Yes.
and Gail.
Yes.
Okay, thank you. Motion carries, and I don't think there were any new business. discussed. Professional Conduct Committee report out. Kirk, if you don't mind, just letting us know what was discussed today and as it pertains to actions. I did hear about, we talked about an executive session that would be called after this LSP board meeting. So kindly please provide us with the report back.
Sure. There was no old business and got into right to the cases. 05C07. It's also 12C01. There was a final decision by the court and it has been appealed. 08C03. We have to review the final order, and that'll be in a meeting in August. 12C01, we'll be discussing that. Also, I think in executive session. 18C01, it's been interviewed. 18C02, we need to schedule CRT conference. 20C01 through 22C01. We're still waiting for the software for redacting, which should be in soon. And then we'll move along with those, putting together some committees to review. And there's no new business.
Okay, so there were a number of recommendations that were made during today's professional conduct committee, including moving forward with an executive session, and there were volunteers for after the redaction of the materials. Certain cases will go through the process, the screening team, and then the screening team will decide if there's a dismissal or navigates over to the CRT. So with that, I'd like to move that we take these recommendations to the fold, and I would need a second.
Millie, excuse me, I don't believe that the second recommendation is correct.
Okay.
There is
Could
no
you-
screening team. There is no screening team for complaints that we haven't seen yet.
Okay, so we'll take that back. That leaves us with the executive committee to, we were planning on one, so shall we formalize it through a vote or just basically just call it upon after this end of the meeting?
I don't think we've ever voted to go into executive session.
Okay, so second on that motion, all in favor, say yes as I call your name. Greg,
Yes.
Jamie,
Yes.
Kirk,
Yes.
Millie is a yes. Patrick,
Yes.
Paul,
Yes.
Greg, Craig,
Yes.
Deb,
Yes.
David,
Yes.
and Gail.
Yes.
Motion carries, and we'll be holding an executive session at the end of this LSP board meeting. All right, so then moving on to agenda number 15, which is other business. If Beverly, you could provide us with a report back, 15A through C.
Thank you. Okay, so today we started the final slog through regulation 309 CMR 2.00. We, pardon me, took a look at some language that I still need to clean up. I also need to forward to the board members the red line strikeout of 2.00. Gail gave me a change to the language. Deb also cited another section where the language needed to be changed, and Jamie commented on the online Acela portal and those changes that will have to be made to the regulations regarding mailing. Although people will still have the option of mailing, it'll just be mailing and filing online. So any questions about 15A? 15B, personnel budget and fees. As I've indicated, I do not have a program coordinator. It is a very big deal. I don't know, Natasha Dick's leave is extended through June. I don't know what's going to happen. I don't know why I haven't been able to find a temp, but that's a whole another issue. I'm still trying to do that. I don't know what's going to happen with her position. Again, Ms. Dix is scheduled to return to work in June. I don't know if she'll, if that will happen. More trouble for me. 15C. The good news is that we are working through the demo phase of the Acela portal. We are still planning to go live by June 30th, 2023. We are entering the testing phase. So it's going to complicate my schedule because between May 15th and June, I'm going to be devoting half my time per week, a minimum of 3 hours per week, to getting the Acela online portal up and running. So again, we're going to be testing. I'm going to be working with revenue, with our webmaster, Michael Orcutt, with Chris Borges, and anyone, any of the collaterals who are connected with the onboarding of this Acela portal. So I'm going to have to replace a number of links in the on the website. We're working on the notifications. We have thus far completed applications, exams, annual fees, renewals, and we're in the phase of user testing. So it looks like this may actually happen. I did have a question, and I didn't get a response from the board, and the IT team needs an answer. So on page 7, I sent this in an email. On page 7, they have asked about the language for extra education credit. And that's at page 7. So the extra education credit there are 2 sections for that. And this has to do with applicants applying for extra education credit. Are there any comments about that?
Beverly, maybe you can clarify what
Yeah.
this is to use education in another language as extra credit for the LSP.
When I'm sorry, Greg, go ahead, please.
No, that is my question, if you understood it.
Okay, so when an applicant applies, there is a section of the application. I don't know if Chris has it available. He should, he may not. there is a section, request for extra education credit for total professional experience. It says field of study, type of degree, time requested.
Was this in an email you sent me, Beverly, the application?
So that's, yes, I think it was attached. It's, the LSP application form was in an email. But Beverly, I
Right.
just can't glean, where the language piece comes in. My apologies. I just don't see it right offhand.
Nope. Chris, do you have it?
Let me look.
Yeah, I mean, I'm looking at the form number 7 right now. It's in front of me. It says total professional experience, TPE claimed. I just don't know where the next says.
But if you search the document for extra education credit for total professional experience, there's a set of boxes there. Field of study, type of degree, time requested.
Yeah.
And so I'm asking, is that the way you want to leave this, or can we tweak the language?
Oh, you mean the terminology, not language like in a different language, but
yes.
Oh,
Terminology.
Yeah, I think that looks fine.
Yeah, so this just enables the applicant to request additional years of TPE substituting in education, right? I mean, that's, I guess, Beverly, I don't really understand what the sort of genesis of this question is. Like, what clarification do you think is needed here?
I don't know. I'll have to go back to the IT team, the Acela team, because they are the ones that raised this question, and the document names. So, obviously, this should stay in the application. Is that right?
yes.
So Beverly,
and this means, hold on, Millie, because I just hold 1 second, please.
Yeah, sure.
So, thank you. So the extra education credit, what does this mean?
Yeah.
Coming from, and the answer should come from the board members.
Yeah. When you're looking at the instructions for this is Craig. When you're looking at the instructions for the application itself, it specifically says for a degree obtained, the type of degree attained for the extra education credit. So it sounds like it's a degree that may be similar that they could use for TPE.
Okay.
Right. I mean, if maybe they were certified in a certain area, or they were, took a 2-year program, and the question becomes whether they should get credited for that related experience.
Right. Ultimately, the board, of course, makes the decision about this. In terms of reviewing the individual applications, but that's helpful for me working with the Acela team to try and sort this out, because everything that we put up online so far, everything that all the applications that have been developed within the Acela portal, we have an understanding of how they work and whether or not there are duplications and what they need. So let me see if that will satisfy.
Is this the application that you were talking about, Beverly? I think I just put it up on the screen if the board members can see it.
I think you got to scroll down to Form 7, LSP application form, and it's the piece that's there. It's summary of total professional experience, TPE claimed.
No, you're right there.
Yeah, you were in. You were at it a minute.
Right
Extra.
Right there. Yeah.
Yep, extra education credit. Thank you.
That's
you,
for
Chris,
your advanced degrees.
Right, exactly.
That was for advanced degrees. That is up there. So you have it up there listed, and then you put the extra maximum of 2 years, and you'd put it in that box. But it's above and beyond your bachelor's degree, and you get a certain number of years of credit for getting a master's degree, and another, you get 1 year for master's and 2 years for a PhD, I believe. And that's why it says 0 months, because you only have 2 choices. It's you get a max of 2 years credit from professional experience, from your relevant professional experience for the advanced degree.
Yeah, I think this is fine, and frankly, I don't know if I've ever actually seen this used, but yeah, I mean,
I agree.
Yeah,
I've never seen anyone use it.
I
Well,
agree with you,
people
Jane.
do.
But but it has happened. People have used it, but in recent past, that hasn't been the case.
I mean,
But
It's
RPE is
used to
always
get
the
total
much harder.
professional experience. The total, not the total professional. It's used to get your 8 years or 7 years or whatever it is. It's used to fill that out. In other words, you may only have 6 years of whatever, but if you have a master's degree, you get the extra year or whatever, and you can apply sooner than you otherwise would. That's what it does.
okay.
Understood, but
I've seen it.
RPE
I've
is always
seen
the
it
much
used.
more difficult threshold anyway, so it's just, I
Right.
don't think this, I think we can leave it as is, and it's not going to create any problems for us.
This is exactly how it appears in the application now, right?
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah,
Yes.
that's all. I think we
Yes.
just leave it. That's what it means. And the max you can get is specified in the regulation.
Yep. Yep. I am going to check that out to see whether or not to make sure it's compliant with the regs. So this is very helpful. Thank you, board members. We have our next meeting on Thursday, the 11th, and like I said, going forward, we're going into this final push of half my time being devoted to getting this online thing up and running, but I think it's going to be fabulous. We're really pressing for time because what we want to do is obviate the need for invoices and all of this other stuff for the July 30th, 2023 renewal. If we can get this going on June 30th, that's the end of, paper renewals, unless people choose to. They will still be able to mail us paper, but again, they'll be able to make payments online for like 35 cents using a credit card. The credit card is a percentage. I think it's 5%. I may have mentioned this at a past meeting, so I don't want to contradict myself, but it's my dream and it's going to happen. Okay. Thank you for that information.
Great, thank you very much for giving us the update on all these administrative matters. So our next virtual meeting, our next future meeting is going to be virtual. It will be held on June 13, 2023. And at this time, I'd like to adjourn this meeting at 1:55. And I'd like to move into executive session for the purpose of discussing board affairs that are appropriate for this venue. And so we will be moving into an executive session shortly.
Yeah, once I end this meeting, I will send out the invites for the executive session. So everybody should be getting another invite specifically to that meeting.
Thank you. See y'all
Thank you,
soon.
Chris.